Shayla, first of all, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you on. I appreciate you taking the time to join the podcast. Uh, I don't know why I tend to gravitate toward Florida and coastal East Coast markets, but I do love to network with agents in your neck of the woods. So great to have you on. Um, Before we get into the conversation, I also want to say that part of what attracted me and made me want to reach out to you was your social media marketing and your YouTube marketing as well, which I think we're going to dive into that a little bit. But I think what you're doing with the video is on point, and what I think what a lot of agents should be doing and are kind of missing the boat. So we'll dive into that a little bit, but you're in Sarasota, Florida, affiliated with Corcoran. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
How's everything
And
in
if for
Sarasota
those,
today?
it's a little rainy and off for this time of year, but that's okay. A little rain never hurt anybody. It's good for the lawns and everything.
Sure.
But yeah, for anybody that's not familiar with the map, it's like right in the center of the state on the West Coast.
Beautiful area. And that coast of Florida is just like when you actually get out there and look at the water, it's all turquoise blue, and it reminds me of the Caribbean or Caribbean. It's just so pretty, and two of the most beautiful beaches in the world, really, Siesta Key and Longboat Key.
Right. And yeah, I'm surprised you know Longboat because everybody, I feel like, knows Siesta Key. And we also have other beaches. We've got Lido, we've got Anna Maria Island. Lots of people know Anna Maria Island. And moving on south to Casey Key and Minnesota Key. So there's a lot of options for beaches here. We've got several great islands, all very different.
I visited Anna Maria Island years ago, probably, I guess, a long time ago. Anyway, it's back in my motorcycling days, um, and I was visiting some friends in the Tampa Bay area, and we blasted across the Skyway Bridge and went to Anna Maria Island on a Sunday for some beers and mimosas, and that was I forget. I think it was called the Sandbar. Is that still there? It was a
I
bar
think so.
restaurant,
Yeah. Hmm.
and it had a view. Talk about beautiful. I
It
mean,
is.
the beach was just pristine, and the water was so turquoise blue. It was like you couldn't have painted a better picture. It was beautiful.
Well, you picked the right spot because there's not all the islands have bars and restaurants right on the beach.
Yeah.
Anna Maria is known for that, and there's just more options for that, which I know a lot of people love and enjoy that. So we have that here too.
You mentioned Longboat, or I mentioned Longboat Key, and that kind of raised some eyebrows there when I mentioned that, but that's because that's largely residential, right, and a little bit less commercial. Is that correct?
So it's all considered public beach, but
Uh,
because there's a lot of private residences, condos, and single family homes, that it feels more private there. And we do have some hotels there. So we have the St. Regis that was just completed end of last year, which is a condo and hotel. So there's the beautiful five, of course, star hotel there, and then there's the inn in a Longboat Key, which is the Longboat Key Club, and the Zoda. So we do have some hotels there right on the beach as well, but
mhm.
it is definitely more residential. It's more like gated, more private feeling. So there's no public beach. So it's different
Gotcha.
than Siesta. Siesta is just like a huge public pavilion and several public parking, like larger parking areas. So it just feels different. I mean, and same thing with Anna Maria. There's a ton of parking, and it's just more open to the public, basically.
Yeah. I bet St. Regis Hotel is just extraordinary.
It's pretty fabulous. I sold a
Yeah.
unit in there,
Did you?
and it was like 8.3 million, and they ended up putting close to 3 million in upgrades because they didn't want the stock options that were available for upgrades. So they
Mhm.
had like the white box delivery with the concierge, service of that. And I think the highest price in there were 2 penthouses combined for 20 million. So, Sarasota has really kind of, exploded in terms of value, and I think it's been very undervalued for a long time, and we just had our record-breaking sale here for 30 million. So that's kinda set the bar, whereas, like, in Palm Beach and Miami, you'll see 30 million, 20, 50 million. I mean, hell, Naples, I think it was 200 something million that
I
sold. So
heard
we're
about
just
that.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's still, I guess when you say those numbers, it doesn't sound like affordability, but we still have like $300,000 condos. I just put a video out about that so that people don't feel like they don't want to not call me, and I
Mhm.
just, there's a focus on luxury here, but certainly you can still buy a condo here for 300,000. It ain't going to be on the beach, honey, but it's
Right,
available and it's
right.
Sarasota. Oh,
Right. Absolutely, yeah, only a few minutes from the beach, right? But not on the beach.
yeah. Well, you're going to get in the car anyway. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So Sheila, how long have you been practicing as a realtor?
Since 2002, I started right out of college and just kind of got out of school and started within 6 months. I was waiting tables at Outback, and my degree certainly wasn't in any of that. I just took some time off, and I have a business degree and a French minor. And, it's not like I really used my degree, honestly, but I just happened to land into real estate because it was sorta like, everybody was talking about it. Everywhere you go, people talk real estate, just now, And it was just something I fell into, and I felt like, that could be something I would enjoy, and I just have been doing it ever since.
2002 it was booming, right? It was, that was
Right,
one of those vertical markets everywhere, but Florida especially
right.
was really in a upward trajectory, and of course, then, but really every market. Here in North Carolina is the same way, and then of course, 08, 09. How did you pivot during the housing, the financial crisis? Were you starting to learn how to do short sales or that sort of thing?
My god. Like, I feel like if we can like, hopefully there's not another crash in my lifetime. Maybe there's one around the corner. Listen, I don't know. But if I could do all those short sales, nothing short about them, they are extremely frustrating. You send these files and the bank loses them. You have to send them multiple times, and it's just like you want to pull your hair out. And then you're
Mhm.
waiting and you're waiting and you're following up. And so that, the auctions, the foreclosures, the extreme level of inventory, it's so extreme that, like, a normal market's, like, 6 months, let's say. It was a 56-month level of inventory, which means it would take years and years to get through. So it's like, and then, you God forbid you get a buyer that calls, they have to see every house in the neighborhood on the block. There's, like, 5 or 6 homes on that street alone. It just, it was a time that was so difficult as an agent, and not to mention, it's a recession and my livelihood depended on it. I did go bankrupt because I had 3 properties, and I was just in over my head. I was young, I was 26, or I think, or thereabouts. Lost everything, but I was very grateful when I was coming out of that, I was in my 20s.
Mhm.
And I wasn't in my 50s or 60s trying to retire, and then, wow, you just get hit with this, you know, disastrous position that you put yourself in, and I was very grateful for it after the fact, after I got through it, and I know a lot of people did go through that as well, and it was just such a difficult time to be a realtor. I didn't know enough as well, and I kinda got sucked into the 0% down. It was just, and then it just snowballed, and then the pride kicks in where you're just like, I was doing it to build a legacy and a future and a retirement, and it just backfired, but I got through it, and that's why I say, like, if there's another one coming, there probably will be another one at some point, I don't know when, and it just, you gotta strap in and go through it and deal with it, right? And I just say, like, learning hard life lessons, like living well below your means, putting more money down, not to say like the 50-year mortgages are a bad thing necessarily for some people, but trying to get ahead, you might want to reconsider that, you know, based on what other people have gone through, maybe.
Yeah, hard life lessons for sure. I mean, you weren't the you weren't the only smart person to be underwater in '09, in '08 and '09. I get it. I know a lot of very successful entrepreneurs who had to start all over in,
Right.
2010. And some of the most famous financial minds that we know, Dave Ramsey, like, he talks about it all the time. That's a big part of his story.
Hmm.
So yeah, you learned it at the right time. I continue to learn lessons. I'm going to be 52 next year. I continue to learn
No
these lessons I should
way.
have learned a long time ago.
Yeah, and I like Dave Ramsey too, and like you take pieces from different people. Like I don't
Yeah,
really personally
exactly.
care. I don't care for like Grant Cardone, but I do listen to some of his stuff. Like I
Hmm.
usually just don't trust like a fast talker. He's a fast talker, but I like Dave Ramsey. I like Robert Kiyosaki. There's just a mix of some of these guys. The old school ways of things. I think
Yeah,
maybe are coming back a little bit. I don't know, but I know affordability is a problem, so henceforth the 50-year. That's not really making it more affordable, right? I guess, but we could debate that another day, maybe.
definitely a topic for another podcast episode. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I've had a couple of, I produce a local podcast here as well. I had a close friend of mine, mortgage broker, who's just an exceptional professional and really, really smart guy. And when we sat down for our interview, he said, "So did you hear the news?" I said, "What's that?" It was Monday, after the Friday where that tweet or announcement was made, and he told me about it. I just kind of paused and I thought, we're gonna have to think about that. We're gonna have to like do the math there. And so,
It's like
but
triple.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's not a sound long term strategy, but obviously, and I'm not really smart. I don't pretend to be like a financial guru. I get like that may fit uh, certain strategies, and that's really just folks, I guess, will have to make up those decisions on their own, with
agreed.
hopefully some sound financial advice from a professional. So,
Or someone who's been
um,
through it. It's like same with like taking out your money from a HELOC, right? It's a
mhm,
good temporary solution that you should pay off quickly. That's my opinion. Again, I'm not a financial advisor either, but like, it shouldn't be like a long-term solution. That should be a short turnaround kind of thing, similar to a
mhm,
50-year. Hey, if it's a young kid that's trying to get a house and they see this house that they love, whatever, and they have this loan and then they refinance or whatever and get into a 15-year. Boom. Okay, great. Good for you. And then at least you're starting to build equity. Whereas, I mean, the prices are just, I feel like they're just going up over time anyway. So if you can secure a lower price and knowing that you'll refinance later, it could be a short term solution for some people. And I mean, I'm not going to stand in the way of a buyer wanting to buy and a seller wanting to
sure,
sell as a realtor,
yeah,
It's
yeah,
already hard enough. I'm not going to like, no, do you really want to do? I mean, we can give them the good, the bad, and everything, and then they can make up
uh-huh,
their own adult decisions. But
yeah, yeah, for sure. Do you remember your first transaction?
of course,
Tell us
you
about that.
do you?
Yeah, my first transaction was my mother-in-law.
Oh, that's adorable. That's
Yeah,
cute.
how about you?
So it was my accountant, and it was
Mhm,
250,000. Well, she became my accountant, so the lead came from the agent I was sort of working under, and she became my accountant. But yeah, I still stay in touch with her. She became like we lost touch, and then she was my accountant again, and then she just recently retired. So yeah, 250. I got half of that. I was still working at Outback, and as soon as I knew that money was coming, I was like, I've got to dive in. After 6 months of doing two full-time jobs, waiting tables and real estate, I just decided, okay, I'm finally going to have a little check here.
mhm,
And I just have to start. I just have to dive in. So that's what
yeah.
happened. Yeah.
What would you say are some of your areas of expertise? I know, you're not gonna, like the majority of agents, I think successful agents are not going to turn away business if it's a good fit, right?
Right.
Regardless of price point. But what would you say are the characteristics and the unique value that you bring to your clients there locally in the Sarasota area?
Some of the things I've done that not your person that's like a keyboard warrior, if you just do everything online kind of thing, like I've knocked on doors. I've traveled to Europe to do presentations. I went with my buddy Andrew. We went to Monaco, we went to Paris, we went to Germany, and we set it up in advance where we were able to sit in a room full of, investors and just people that lived in the community through a realtor in Germany via a client of mine. And it just kind of came, we were door knocking, and then we were, talking to this gentleman who was already on my mailing list. And it was just like all the things came all together. So it was from the mailing list via door knocking, and he knew who I was when we door knocked. And then that turned into a relationship where we got invited overseas. And then it was just sort of just a banter at first, but we made it happen. We went overseas a couple times and did it was a work trip, I guess. And so that's unique. There's things that like that we do, and then just all the normal stuff, right? But I feel like as far as my market's concerned, it's, of course, who doesn't want to do luxury, but I think that word is thrown out too much when you see agents that say I'm a luxury, and it's like you haven't really sold anything over a million in the last 9 months, sweetheart, and that's okay. But I think, being part of the Institute, I don't know if you're familiar with the
Mhm.
Institute. Yeah.
I am.
So,
I'm not a part of that, but I am familiar
yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so being in a members only qualified agents, you have to qualify to be in the institute as a member, showcase that you've sold in your upper tier, and then there's a top echelon within the institute called the guild, which is even higher than that. So I'm in the guild, and so in that membership, whatever you like community, we connect, and if I'm doing referrals, we connect that way, and we just understand their market, they understand ours. We probably are on each other's social media. So that's another thing that I think sets me apart is communities like that. Where not you're not just taking a class, but you have to showcase that you've sold in the upper tier. So it's more, I think it carries a little bit more weight. Not that the public knows that, but we do educate clients. And it's part of my CV that I send to my potential sellers when they're thinking of listing their property with me. They get my CV, and some of that, that's all in there. Some of these things are in there.
I think it's super important that your peer, probably more important really when it comes to building referral networks and referral partnerships and relationships, that your peers know, right? It sounds
Yeah.
like that's one of the great advantages of being a member of the Institute and being inside that community, is that you know that you're networking with agents who have indeed uh, transacted or have experience with very large transactions, and providing that white glove luxury concierge experience for very high income individuals, right? High net worth
And I
individuals.
and honestly, even if I'm just sending a referral, it doesn't even have to be. It could be a 200 or $500,000 property in another state,
Hmm.
and if there is a CLHMS or guild member in that area, I'm way more inclined to give it to them. Maybe they have a team. I know that they're definitely they've completed a certain set of standards that I align with, and I know my client, they're used to my service and the way that I communicate with them, and so I feel better passing them off to someone I already know that's in the institute. Um and generally, like, they don't say no, "Ooh, no, it's
Hmm.
the price is too low." I mean, I just
Right.
think that's silly. I mean, I've had
Yeah.
clients that reached out, or longtime friends that have said, "Hey, will you sell my condo? I know it's not in your like wheelhouse, but maybe you have a team." I'm like, "No, it's literally right in my same block almost. I could, drive. It's right around the corner. Why would I not take that listing? It's, less than 300,000. I've known you forever. So I'd rather you call
Sure.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other advantage too of, when you have these referral partnerships, even though their core business might be the luxury market, when a referral partner calls them and says, "Hey, I have a great referral. Would you take care of them?" They're going to do it, right? They're going to do it because of your professional relationship, and the client wins because now they get this rock star, right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what price point, what category they're looking at. So
And likewise,
Um,
when they call me for something that, whether it's a buyer or seller, it's the same. It goes the same, both ways. And it carries
mhm,
so much weight. And to me, like being able to showcase, like, you can help this person build a foundation for sending more referrals, in other price ranges or needs or what. It's not all about price. It's like usually when you get an agent referral, they're vetted, they know these people, it's maybe a 1031 exchange or, any multitude of things, but it carries a lot of weight. If I get an agent referral, it is like gold, and it's always yes. I don't think I've ever really said no, except there was one buyer that came and they were, like, really hesitant to sign a buyer broker agreement because they had already done a lot of the legwork with looking at new construction. I think that was the only case where they were like, "Nah," because they already kind of they went to, like, the sales galleries and talked to agents, or that was the only time that it wasn't a good fit. But it kinda
mhm.
makes sense, I guess, if that's they wanted to do it
Yeah,
themselves in that sense, but
yeah, there's always gonna be an exception, right? But we always wanna
can't
take
win
care
them
of our
all.
referral partners.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
Speaking of
absolutely.
1031 exchanges, your trips to Europe, were those presentations for investor clients?
It was a mixed bag. Monaco is a whole other, like, planet.
Oh,
Okay,
I can't
so
even
w
imagine. Yeah.
oh, it's like the most billionaires per capita, and it's such a small little community. So we had a series of appointments in Monaco and in Cannes and in those high niche markets. I mean, they have $500 million villas. Okay, like we don't really have that here. And so that was just relationship building, thinking, they're going to have more opportunities to send people to us than the other way around. And again, we had pre-signed like referral agreements with these people because we came there and we said, "Hey, listen, if we have someone in con, we have a person there and they took time with us, we took time with them, and you're our person in this small niche." And then we kind of moved on. Yeah, it was interesting. Just honestly, you're just awe-inspired by looking around and just seeing the sheer, like, number of zeros, you know? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
it's pretty
yeah.
crazy. Oh, yeah, yeah, we spent a lot of time at the not the at the club, but right there at the marina. There's a restaurant up there. I forget the name, Cafe Milano, it's called. They have one in Naples, Florida,
Mm.
too. But it's
Yeah.
like 15,000 a square foot average price.
Oh god. Wow.
You heard me correctly, 15,000. So it's like, "Oh, our real estate's super inexpensive here in Sarasota."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So not maybe not so much investor, client referrals, but more like, 4th, 5th, 6th home type clients?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Lots of
I
oil money
gotcha.
over there and, they probably have a place in
Sure.
Dubai and who knows where else, Paris, whatever. But, we're on their newsletter, I'm on theirs, I get their news, like, if I have someone over there, I have people already, it's just it's
Yeah.
networking and it's a long play. Like, some of the
Mhm.
things that we do, like the YouTube and the marketing, mailers are a long game, YouTube, relationships. I mean, at the end of the day, what we do is, yes, we sell houses, but they have to trust, know, and like you, and that's a relationship. They have to trust that you're doing what's in their best interest always. So,
Absolutely, and everything in this business and in any business, in my opinion, where the tickets are high and the trust level has to be very high, everything takes a long time. Like, it's always a long
mhm,
game.
right.
So I don't, whether you're selling luxury homes or representing clients who are buying and selling luxury homes, or if you're selling Rolexes in West Palm Beach, or you're selling yachts in Monaco. These are relationships, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of know, like, and trust, and it takes time to build those relationships for sure. We talked a little bit about that before I hit record. The long game. YouTube's a long game. Google's a long game. Um, but it's so worthwhile, and it's worth the equity, the sweat equity, and the time and the money. A lot of times, it can be a little pricey depending on how you do it. I shoot all mine myself, as my my prospects can tell, but it seems to be still well received. But I also know agents who, their social media and their YouTube channels are very, very professionally edited and produced, and that's excellent as well. But that kind of brings me into a topic I want to ask you about, and this goes back to the institute. It goes back to your relationships with your European referral partners, and that is how important is networking to the success of a real estate agent.
Think the old school methods of networking, which I've done, are great. I have gotten kind of away from that. I've done more of like the online being top of mind kind of presence versus like going and getting a bite every month with a BNI group and stuff like that. I've
Yeah.
done all that kind of grown out of it. I
Mhm.
do spend more time on LinkedIn and trying to grow that a little bit more, trying to create newsletters and things that I'm seeing getting more impressions, I guess. And it's LinkedIn is
Mhm.
so great because it's like it is strictly professional. And I like that. And if you are looking for a pro in whatever the field, whether real estate or whatever, they're probably gonna have a LinkedIn, and if they've been doing it for a while, they're probably gonna have more than 100 followers or whatever, you know?
Mhm. That's
And
right.
it solidifies that they are a professional. So for me, it's like being on these platforms and being consistent. Like, you can be on there, but you could be completely inconsistent, and it's like, okay, I mean, I get everybody's busy, but to me, these are priorities. Everything is a system. I post videos once a week without fail. How many times in a week do I not want to do them? Okay, there's many days I don't, but I force myself on the days I don't, and I just push the content out. So every Thursday, and then every week I started writing my own blogs, and then one blog, you can create one blog but share it on multiple platforms and kind of rephrase it a little bit and use different photos maybe. So you're not like reinventing the wheel every single time. So I think consistency matters. I had a seller reach out to me because he kept seeing me on Instagram, and we had known each other for a very, very long time. And he called me and he said, I'd like for you to sell our house. There was never any doubt that you were the person. You're consistent. You're professional. My house is in your wheelhouse. My house is in your wheelhouse.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then that turned into his buddy that I also knew. They're not on social media, but then his buddy, they talk, and then he called me to sell his house, and then they bought a house. So it's just like, if I wasn't consistent on Instagram, which is the platform he saw me on mostly, then maybe I wouldn't be top of mind. And maybe he would have ran into someone and thought, well, Shayla's maybe too busy, or, like, you want to be consistent out there, available, and ask for the business. Maybe I don't do that enough, asking for what you want. Call me. Hey, let's set up a consultation. Like, I don't know. I'm still figuring this all out. Every day
Sure.
you're trying to figure it out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, so you mentioned a couple words there that really resonate with me. Consistency. That's something that comes up in my conversations here on the podcast with highly successful agents like yourself. Consistency is one of those attributes that is very, I hear time and time again, systems, process, sticking to the system, having a system and working, having a plan and working the plan, right? And sticking with it.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
can't just, we mentioned too before we hit record, you can't just post once and give up, or you can't even post for 3 months and give up.
No.
It's once you make the decision, you have the plan and the strategy, you have to execute on that. Again, everything of high value is a long game. So
And
uh,
it's like working out. I mean, I'm there. I usually
yeah,
get there between 5 and 5:30 in the morning, and it's like you could be motivated but if you don't have the discipline and the actions, like, it doesn't matter. You could be motivated all day, but if you don't actually do it and you have the discipline to
yeah,
just put one foot in front of the other, it's hard. How many mornings I want to sleep in, and it's like, okay, just push through. It's just a mental game in your head. It's completely
yeah,
mental. I mean, you have
yeah.
to be in real estate.
Believe me, I know it. That's the fitness uh, habit is something I'm battling right now. I fell out of it in the last couple years, and it's let me tell you something. It's easier to just stay consistent than it is to start all over, right? So
But you know what?
another lesson learned.
It's like As long as you're getting up and getting out 90% of the time, I know everybody falls off the wagon at some point. We're
Yeah.
human, we're not
Hmm.
robots. Things happen in
Sure.
life, health, family, stuff's always going to be thrown at you. I think that if you just like that's why I do it in the mornings because you have to take care of yourself and it's not selfish. If you're taking care of yourself, then you can take care of everybody that you love and care about around you, including your clients. And you're available, and then the whole world can fall apart the rest of the day, but you've already taken care of yourself.
Yeah.
To me, it's like mental clarity, and so I'm just better at what I do when I know that that's out of the way. It's part of, like, adulting and growing up. If I do it at the end of the day, I'm like, it's just it's not gonna happen. I'm just a better person, a better version of myself when I get it done, and then you eat better, you have ideas that flow in the morning, that's how I am. I mean, it's just like and then you wanna eat just be healthier. I don't know, it's just good. It works. And if you go at night and that works for you too, or you work out at home or you have kids and you have an at-home gym in the garage or whatever, like, that's cool too, you know? But I think
Sure.
it's important.
I agree. Yeah. I do everything about getting your workout in the morning before you start the rest of your day, works great for me. I love the
Yep.
way it makes you feel going into the day. And yeah, to your point too, you more aware of what you're eating, of,
Mhm.
what you're doing and so it's just a great way to start the day and a great way to start better habits. Reminds me of that admiral who gave a commencement speech. I forget where, and this was years ago. And I always see the clip in these motivational like mindset videos on YouTube, and it was how he's like, to succeed in life, start by making your bed in the morning when you get up.
I agree. I do it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am I'm like, basically, I want my house to look like I could list it right now
Mhm.
every day. And you make your bed, it's like the first a lot of military people do this too. I've never been in the
Yeah.
military, but you make your bed, it's like the first thing that you got done. And then it's like, okay, then you step in the car and you go to the gym. And it's like, then I got something else done. And then I took my dogs and I took care of them and fed them. And it's like, you get more done by 8 o'clock or whatever than some people
Mhm.
are still in bed. And it's like, you've already
That's right.
accomplished all this stuff, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. The other word that you brought up that really I tuned in on was repurposing content. And content marketing is my area of expertise for sure, and SEO and getting found in search and that sort of thing as well. But content marketing and it all kind of works together and plays together. But I love that you brought up repurposing content because I think that that's another piece that I think a lot of agents and a lot of small businesses in general are missing the mark. If, for example, and I know you do this, if you start with a wide format video for YouTube, then you can crop that or repurpose it for clips for social
Uh-huh. Yeah.
media. Transcripts can become blog posts, can become captions for social media. The list goes on. And now you have
Ding,
content to
ding.
send your email list, right? And that's original, that's not the
Hmm.
same as every other agent in your office is sending, right? I get those
I don't
emails. I
even
have a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even follow anybody here locally on YouTube that I recall offhand because I want it to be authentically me and just genuinely came from
Yeah.
me in my mind. But yeah, it's like everything in my mailing list is a QR code. So every property I put is a QR code, whether it's my listing or neighborhood tour. But anyway, it's all QR. So it is repurposed that way as well. And then in the e-newsletter too. So like you're doing this video, and by the way, I edit my own, it's just my iPhone. It's like I use iMovie and, Canva. And, but yeah, it's like, it's not just the video. It's first of all, the video that's there as a library that someone can find you in 5 years. I've had more calls on I had a $5 million listing on Minnesota Key. This was like 3 years ago now. And people are still watching this video. Okay. And I've gotten calls from it still. I think I got one like this year on it. And I was like, that was like 3 years ago, but I can find you something today. you
That's
know?
right.
It's a good price point. So yeah, let's do that. But yeah, it's work that you don't see or calls that you don't see coming down the pike. And I just closed a house in Venice for over almost 1.5 million, and she said she found me from YouTube. So, but you know how that is. People will go on Google and then they might
Sure.
see where you are on LinkedIn and then they stumble on your YouTube or whatever. So I don't know if it
Mhm.
was just from YouTube, but it was just one more piece that, okay, I felt like I got to know her. And then I made sure she was legit and probably looked at my reviews and who knows what else just to make sure.
Yeah, it provides a lot of validation for a prospect when they find you not only on, your website through Google, but they also find your video content. I feel like also there's no better way, and it's it's for me consuming so many marketing gurus content, reading books, and taking webinars that I didn't make this up, but there's no better way to start that relationship, to demonstrate your expertise for prospects to get to know you, to like you, to trust you than through video.
Yeah.
the best medium, uh, and focusing on evergreen content like your blog, like
Yeah.
YouTube, I think is super important. And again, it's so easy if you start wide. It's so easy to repurpose with
Yeah.
for shorter form content for less evergreen type platforms like social media, which is also, I'm not discounting it. That's, you need to be there too, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I share everything on my Instagram and I have like I share the videos on there and I kind of space it out
Hmm.
with other content and stuff. But it's just like anything. Once you start, it becomes a habit and I've been doing it so long now that it's just like, okay, just part of my shtick. And I feel like it's like that visual of like the cartoon digging for gold and he stops before it's like right before he got the gold. It's like you just can't
Hmm.
stop, because then you're going to become like, unknown and people are going to forget about you. You do have to put content out there to stay relevant. Unfortunately, I mean, people's attention spans everything's just quick and easy and TikTok. And I'm not on TikTok. Are you?
No, no, I'm not.
Okay. We're so old.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
okay. I'm not planning on going on TikTok though. Are you? I don't have any
I'm
desire.
not. No, I'm not. And I get, if I were an agent in my 20s or 30s, I'd probably have an account, I
Yeah.
because I think that the the potential for the platform is still to be determined. So, yeah, I probably would repurpose videos there as well, but I just don't. I even paused. You brought up LinkedIn earlier, which is a great platform to be on. I paused my LinkedIn or hibernated my LinkedIn account a while back because I just wasn't keeping up with it. And that goes back to that word consistency that you brought up. I thought to myself, I don't want prospects to see me being inconsistent. So I'm going to be consistent where I can be. And I'm going to come back at some point, probably have some help. When I have eventually have some help, I'll reboot the LinkedIn account. But I
Good.
noticed in
Yeah.
the way that, when you mentioned consistency, I also noticed on your YouTube channel that you're extremely consistent, like every weekly posts,
Yeah.
weekly publication. You're publishing weekly, which is really, I notice things like that, and I think thoughtful prospects look at things like that. They notice those things.
Yeah, I would notice, wow, she's got work ethic. I mean,
Hmm.
I've always worked since I was young and she's consistent. I mean, if I were looking for someone that I'm going to spend usually the most money on a certain asset, right? Like those things would stand out to me. And again, I'm still learning. I'm evolving and I'm still learning. I feel like there's so much to know on YouTube alone.
Hmm.
Um so, I think too spreading yourself too thin isn't good. So that's why I do the video and then I started to do more on LinkedIn like just recently actually. And I'm like, okay, I've got to do a blog and like, okay, I know this is so important because the wording is how they find you too. So I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. This is like a whole other planet. So I'm still trying to figure it out. SEO.
Yeah.
Um and just repurposing it there too. But the other thing too that I started doing is because I feel like a lot of people are going to be going to Chat GPT now. So have you heard of people just going in and typing things about themselves so that people can then find you on Chat GPT? Because I kind of started doing that too.
Yes. Yeah. So Chat GPT, AI is an amazing tool. And this is a topic for another podcast episode as well. But it's funny that it's interesting. Like AI search, Google's already embraced it, right? So Google Gemini's answering questions before, um, before they even show you the links to articles or videos that answer the question. But um, AI's though, it's funny as a production tool, it's amazing at helping you knock out, rough outlines, generate
Hmm.
ideas, that sort of thing. It's just a great productivity tool. But as far
Starter.
as search starter, yeah. But as far as
Yeah.
search goes, I heard somebody say it on a podcast episode the other day that I listened to. He said AI is kind of like a 3-year-old. It right now, it believes everything you tell it.
Oh, so we're
So
gonna type in, well, Shayla's the only realtor in town. Let's go with her.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was funny because I've, I have things that, content in various markets that ranks, that is the AI result when you do a certain search or inquire about a certain topic in certain markets. And I know that there are better results out there, but my job is to make sure that, you know, my content is the result. So it's right now you can kind of game AI a little bit more than you can Google, which I think is going to change. Like AI,
Okay.
eventually AI, Chat, Claude, Gemini, it's all, it's going to be it's going to use all the same sort of information that Google uses to provide the best result for the consumer, which will be great. But right now, it's a little funny right now.
Guess like if someone's new and just not doesn't have much of an online presence, do they I would think I maybe I'm answering my own question, they have less of an advantage than someone who's been around a long time or
Yes,
because this is
Th-
sort of your okay.
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and AI right now, chat search uses different signals to answer inquiries. Google will
Mhm.
use a lot of um, the signals that Google will use are very to validate your expertise and that you're the best result for this search. Backlinks from authoritative websites, which are extremely difficult to get. You're only going to get them if you're legit, right? So, which is
Right.
good. But AI is using a lot of basically just noticing where your name is mentioned, right? So having presence on social media, YouTube, website. It's everything's going to come back to chat and Google. It all comes back to your website eventually. It's like
Okay. Okay.
what information they find on your website. So websites continue to be super important, and the content that you publish there is super important.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, it's just a
if I'm trying to get more populated, I guess, I mean, that's a layman's term, populated on
mm.
ChatGPT. Because if I have a seller that's like, "Hey, who should I call to list my house on Longboat Key?" and they're going to ChatGPT, is that gonna be antiquated? Like, is it how are they not antiquated? It's too new in the game, you're saying, for someone to pop up as much as they probably should be? Or is
If you're
my
doing
typing in there words that I think people are gonna search to find me in hopes of finding me? Does that something that helps me?
that, I'm not so sure about, to be honest with you. But I will say that a lot of uh, if you're doing everything correctly to be present in Google search organically as much as possible, whether you rank on the first page or not for very valuable keywords. But if you're publishing content to your website and your website has the technical SEO is basically all there, and you're publishing content to social media and YouTube, chat's going to use the same. basically if you're showing up in Google, you're going to show up in chat.
Okay,
Is
okay.
essentially what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah.
occasionally, the chat will produce some outliers that don't belong there. Is what I'm
I've
saying, right?
noticed, I'm like, "Wait a second, why am I not
Yeah,
coming up on this?" Then you're like, "Hmm." So, like,
yeah,
yeah, that's like, to your point, I'm starting to do more blogging because I had a guy that did that some time ago, and I just got so
mhm.
far away from it, but you think blogging is still important?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
very much. I'm a huge advocate for, medium form blog posts,
Not
500 to
super
1,000
long.
words. Yeah,
Okay,
they don't have to be super long unless it's, sort of what we would call a pillar post where it's deep information, a guide of some kind. But we don't publish a lot of those. Most of what we do are what I try to focus on are individual blog posts that answer specific high volume questions, that come up
gotcha.
on Google search. And it could be even as simple as what's the best Italian restaurant in Sarasota, right? Or the top 10. Those are always great. And they're fun to produce too, right? Especially if you go
Yeah.
out, you can snap some photos. Um, but yeah, I'm still absolutely publishing to your weblog weekly is super important. Going back to content that you published a year or two or three ago,
Oh,
and
that's
updating that content, making sure it's up to date. Somebody may have gone out of business. There might be a new spot in town or that sort of thing. Like making sure that old content's up to date really helps.
yeah.
And there's so many other things too. I could digress and I could nerd on that for a while, but I'll
Yeah.
I'll send you some links to some stuff that I've published and that kind of talk a little bit about that. And I have more content like that coming to the channel as well
Awesome.
as this separate playlist for just people who want to listen to my thoughts on SEO and content marketing and that sort of things. Yeah.
There's so much to know. I mean, we're out here just trying to sell real estate.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you have to become a YouTube star, an Instagram, and like a videographer, a producer. I mean, there's just so much. And then the SEO. The SEO is a full-time thing in and of
Mhm.
itself. Yeah, you start to think about all the things we do as agents, and it becomes overwhelming. And if you are a newer agent, it's like focus on one thing, do well at it, and then grow on it and expand
Yeah.
on it, and then people get to, otherwise it's just too overwhelming. If you
Yeah.
pick something,
You,
like it's like mailer, don't not just doing one thing, one mailer,
mhm.
and thinking like your phone's gonna ring. So it's just like pick it, but know that it's an investment. You just spend money. Okay. Money, time, effort. Otherwise, don't even start. It's like anything.
Yeah. And another
You
good
know?
example that comes to mind is when it comes to mailers, as you mentioned, which
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
believe their mailers are still a valuable way of marketing your
Hmm.
business in real estate. And I think it's something that most agents should be doing as well, in addition to digital marketing. But one example that comes to mind is when it comes to mailers, you could choose if you have a choice between sending one mailer to 10,000 homes or one mailer to 1,000 homes for 10 months.
Yeah.
I
The
would do the
latter.
10 month. Yeah, I would do the latter.
Yes. Yes.
That's just the kind of, and I honestly, that goes for YouTube videos. Instead of spending a lot of time and energy and financial resources on producing an amazing video that you can't afford or don't have the time to produce every week, you
Yeah.
should just keep it simple and accessible and just do what you can commit to weekly and monthly.
And
Again, I could
honestly, like,
go off on a
this
rant.
is just me, but if I'm looking at a YouTube and it's overproduced and it has like this long intro, I'm already out because I'm like, it's not authentic. I've made mistakes in my I mean, a ton of mistakes. Okay, my videos. I was gonna put a title in and I accidentally didn't put the title and just said type the text here. And I'm like, I'm just leaving that in because I'm human and I make mistakes, and I've kept bloopers
Absolutely.
in. And people are like, "Oh, you're so real." I'm like, "No, I just kind of was over it." I just kept it in there because I mean, then it's like it's real and it's genuine. But I will
Yeah.
say, back to the point about the mailers, though, I'm sending for years and years and years to certain areas and then growing it. I have a listing coming up. We're going to photograph it, not next week, the following week. If it was from my mailer. And she's like, I've been getting your mailer for years. Like, we were
Hmm.
never going to sell this house. And that's sort of the along book key thing. either generational or they move around the island. And it was like, "Oh, great," a few of those a year, and it just pay more than pays for the mailer for the whole year or 2 years, and
Yep.
plus it's a write-off and all the other things, it's branding, but I was like, "Oh, I love to hear it," because I try to ask everybody, like, "How did you find me?" So that was great, and
Yeah.
it just shows you, and it's, over 1,000,000, so it's good,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mike Feely, who's a friend of mine here locally, and a really successful luxury broker here in the Charlotte, Lake Norman area, was on one of my early podcast guests. Of course, I started with people that I knew, right? Friends
Yeah.
and, uh, and he talked at length. Like he will be the first one to admit that his knowledge in digital marketing is very limited, but some of these finger quote old school strategies have worked really, really well for him. Farming neighborhoods with
Yeah.
direct mail, with market reports, or just listed or just sold for every month for 2, 3, 4 years. Well, he's been doing it for
Yeah.
20 years, but
Right. Right.
it compounds like interest over time, right?
Right.
You're not going to
Yeah.
get ROI immediately, but 5 years from now, you'll start reaping the benefits.
Well, and the neighborhoods or areas that I've specifically actually door knocked, I picked
Mm,
areas that I've already been mailing. And so when I say my name, I've had many, many times because I've never met some of these people like, I'm Shayla Twit. And they're like, oh, I get your mailer. I've been getting your mailer forever. And I was like, so it's a warmer, it's not like just
I
like
love
a
that. Yeah,
solicitor like knocking on your door, but yeah, that's been good. I try to work smart from that regard. If I'm gonna go out and sweat because it's Florida and door knock, I'm gonna do it strategically and hopefully they'll know my name or it'll click a bell somewhere. So,
that's
work smart,
brilliant.
not
I
hard.
love that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
good.
I kind of stack the odds in your favor if you're going to farm a neighborhood.
Yeah, we've gotten
Maybe,
listings that way and all
yeah,
we target high end. So if I'm gonna go and sweat, it's gonna have
hmm
7 figures generally.
sure.
And as a matter of fact, my buddy Andrew that I went to Monaco with and Paris with, and his wife, we door knocked. We got a listing for like almost 2 million, and then we door knocked and got the buyer too. It was awesome. It was a win-win.
I missed part of that. What was it
Oh,
that
yeah. So
you
we
broke up a little bit?
So I mailed to this certain area. We door knocked. We got the listing in the same mailing area. Door knocked to get the listing, and then door knocked to get the buyer. So we double dipped.
Wow,
Yeah, it's a cool story. We use it all the time.
that's awesome. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very
yeah.
cool. Shayla, this has been awesome. I asked you for 30 minutes and you've given me almost an hour.
Oh,
This has been amazing. I could probably talk another hour about all this stuff. This has been super helpful to me. I really appreciate it.
good.
I think that listeners will also love some of this as well. So I hope it brings some value to them as well. Obviously, as always, I was going to ask you about advice for new brokers, new agents, but I feel like we've shared
We
so
have,
much
yeah.
advice, right? So much practical advice for marketing and just some good life advice as well mixed in there. So, is there anything before I let you go? Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I'd love for you to send in your referrals, Jeff, if you have
Absolutely,
anybody, and vice versa always. And
yeah,
I think the best is yet to come.
absolutely. I love that. I'll be more than happy to. Send referrals your way and also make some connections here with some luxury brokers that I network here locally so that they have a contact in your area as well. How can listeners who want to learn more about Shayla and connect with you, what's the best way?
Sure, all of my handles are at Real Shayla Twit. And the only reason why it's real is because I got hacked on my Instagram once. So I changed all of them to Real Shayla Twit. And
Gotcha.
my cell, you can call or text. It's 941-544-7690.
Perfect. I'll have the links, of course, in the description for this episode. We'll tag you on Instagram, of course, as well. And I'll share a link to in the description also for your YouTube channel, which is excellent
Awesome.
and something worth, I think, for agents to look out for some inspiration and maybe some little bit of copying as well. So Yeah, absolutely.
Sure,
Shayla,
copy away.
this has been great. Again, really appreciate your time and let's follow up and do this again sometime soon.
I'd love to. Thank you for having me.